Alright, so this is the pre-module 1 quiz retake practice work. Put your name and class period at the top. We might need 2 videos depending on how long this takes, so you need to make sure you watch the whole thing. Both videos if there are 2. Alright, so make this one whole into tenths. Color in 7/10. Write it as a fraction and a decimal. So make tenths, which means there should be 10 pieces. 9 lines gets you 10. Color in 7/10. 5, 6, 7. So 7 out of 10 would be 7/10. Or as a decimal, 0.7. I don't have any whole squares, so I have 0 ones and then 7 in the tenths. Make this whole into hundredths. So we need to make 9 lines this way, and then 9 this way, and you'll get a 10 by 10. Alright, so this one whole square has now been cut into 100 pieces. Each little tiny dot then is 1/100th. It says to color 7/100ths. Okay, that right there is 7/100ths. Look at the difference in size between 7/10 and 7/100ths. 7 out of 10 is more than half. If this is a candy bar, you have more than half. 7/100ths is not even 1/10. So to write 7/100ths then, we have no whole ones. We don't have any tenths, because to have a tenth, you have to have a whole column. We don't have a whole column. There's 7 then out of 100. Fraction, 7 out of 100. So your top number is your shaded piece. Your bottom number is your total number of parts in one whole. Okay, so label the shaded part in fraction, mixed number, and decimal form. Alright, so let's color these in. Let's color this entire square, which would be one whole square. And then there's 5 on this one. It just didn't copy very well. Alright, so I want us to understand that you can have a fraction or an improper fraction, a mixed number fraction, or you can have a decimal. So let's think about the fraction. How many pieces are in one whole? Well, there's 10. That means that these could be called tenths. There are 10 tenths colored here, so I'm going to write 10 tenths plus 5 out of 10 on this one. So if we wrote it as a fraction, you'd have 10 tenths plus 5 more would be 15 tenths. 10 tenths, 11 tenths, 12 tenths, 13 tenths, 14 tenths, 15 tenths. They are not 20ths. You have more than one whole worth of tenths. As a mixed number, instead of counting them as tenths, we know 10 tenths is worth one whole. So if we write this as a mixed number, we think of this as 1 plus 5 tenths. So 1 plus 5 extra tenths. Your mixed number would be 1 and 5 tenths. 1 whole plus 5 tenths. Okay, as a decimal then, if you have one whole square, 1 is written as 1.0 plus, so this would be expanded form, 5 tenths. To write 5 tenths, we need a 5 in the tenths. 1 plus 5 tenths would be 1.5 or 1 and 5/10. 1 and 5/10. This is decimal expanded form, showing the value 1.0 or even just 1 plus either 0.5 or 0.5. 1 plus 5, the 5 is in the tenths. All right, I'm going to do D with you, and then you try E on your own. So just watch me do this one. So don't try it yet. Okay. Write this as a fraction. So I know I have tenths. This is 10/10 plus 10 more tenths plus 3 extra tenths. 10/10, 20/10, 21, 22, 23 tenths. So we could call that an improper fraction. There are 23 tenths. We can also think about how 10/10 is worth 1 whole. So to write a mixed number, we would count that as 1 whole plus 1 whole plus 3/10. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 3 extra tenths. These are equivalent. They all show this model. Notice how these are not 30ths. They are tenths because there are 10 pieces in 1 whole. Okay, to write 2 and 3/10 as a decimal, 2 and 3/10. All right, now pause to copy this or rewatch it again if you're not sure if you understand. All right, now let's look at expanded form as a fraction. So I'm going to write my whole numbers. How many ones are there? There's 2 of them. So we're just going to put 2 plus the extra 3/10. 2 plus 3/10 is 2 and 3/10. So it just shows the value. Sorry, that says tenths. Expanded decimal form, we're going to keep the whole number the same. I'm going to put it underneath since it's too small. 2 plus, now we want the 3/10 as a decimal, 0.3. That is decimal expanded form, which is 2.3. On your quiz, some kids did not put a decimal. They put like 2 plus 3. Well, 2 plus 3 is 5. That would be 5 ones. I don't have 5 whole squares in my picture. So putting in your decimal on the left of the tenths is really important. All right, now try E on your own, and then check back to see if it's correct. If you don't have it correct, then rewatch D again, or ask your parent for some help. So check back on E in just a minute. Okay, pause it, try E, and then check back. All right, so E should have this entire whole colored in, and that entire whole colored in, and then this one has 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. Okay, so as a fraction, we're going to do it all in tenths. So let's label it on top. If you didn't, please do that. 10/10 plus 10/10 plus 8/10. How many tenths is that? 10, 20. 20 plus 8 is 28 tenths. The size of my pieces did not change. They are not 30ths, they are still tenths. All right, mixed number. Each square is worth 1. So this would be 1 plus 1 plus 8 tenths. 1 plus 1 is 2 and 8 tenths. Okay, then it says write it as a decimal, and I didn't give you a lot of room there. I'm going to change colors so you can see that better. So as a decimal, we need a 2 in the ones and an 8 in the tenths. 2.8, 2 and 8 tenths. All right, expanded form, fraction. Well, we have how many ones? 2 plus 8 tenths is 2 and 8 tenths. Expanded decimal form would be 2 plus 8 tenths. So either 0.8 or 0.8 would be 2.8. 2 and 8 tenths. If you don't put the decimal and you say 2 plus 8, you're telling me you have 10 squares. We have 2 whole squares and 8 tenths of this one colored in. All right, so check and see if you got all that right. If not, go ahead and rewatch it. Okay, so I have not colored anything, so I'm going to color something and then you color it. All right, so pause this again and color it in. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns and 8 hundredths on this one. Okay, so remember, every square is worth 1 whole. These are cut into 100 pieces. So if I'm thinking it in fraction form, there's 100 colored out of 100. So let's write fraction on top. There's 100 hundredths in this one, or 1 whole. Plus, there's 100 hundredths in this one. Now I have 200 hundredths. And then this one has almost half of this whole is colored. Every little square is a hundredth. That's 1/100th. So each column has 10 hundredths. 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48 hundredths. So if we think of it as a fraction, there's 100, 200, 248. What's the unit? These are hundredths. So I could think of this as 248 hundredths. As a mixed number, we want it to show that each whole square is worth 1 whole. So let's put that down here. 1 whole plus 1 whole plus 48 hundredths. So for the mixed number, 1, 1 plus 1, 1 is 2, and 48 hundredths. For a decimal then, 2 and 48 hundredths. So let's make a little place value chart right here. So pause to copy if I'm going too fast. Okay, this number is 2 and 48 hundredths. So for a decimal, 2.48. Okay, so 2.48, and I am out of time, so please go ahead and click back to the website and watch the second video.